On today's Join Us in France, a trip report with Claire Armstrong on her many visits to the area of France called Camargue, right around Nîmes and Avignon. This is Join Us in France, episode 115. Hello, I'm Annie, and Join Us in France is a show about all things French, or as I like to say these days, edutainment about France. I love France. I was born and raised here. I live in France, but I've also lived in the UK and the US for a couple of decades, so I have a unique perspective on my own country. And I want you to understand France better so you can have a wonderful time and understand what you are looking at when you visit. For show notes and photos on this episode, just in case some of the things we mentioned go a little bit too fast, go to joinusinfrance.com/115. Claire Armstrong is my guest on today's show, and she is a frequent visitor to France because she comes from a French-American family. Her father is French. Her mother is American. She was actually born in France and spent the first few years of her life in France. And then the family moved to the US, where she has lived ever since. But she has made frequent visits back to France and knows it inside and out, just like a local. She shares some wonderful information about the area that she returns to visit family frequently. The Bouches-du-Rhône, the Gard, and the Hérault, and the Camargue. This is an interesting area because it's actually tucked in between Provence and Occitanie, but it's its own thing, and it doesn't get quite as many visitors as other places in France, but it's absolutely wonderful, as you will see. Hello, Claire, and welcome to Join Us in France.
Hello, thank you.
So nice of you to come on the show to tell us about your many visits to France.
Oh, happy to. Love to talk about France.
Oh, that's great. I can't believe how many times that you've been. How many, do you keep count?
Oh, let's see. I don't know if I can, because I've traveled in ever since I was a little one, but yeah, so.
Okay, so you do have a family connection to France.
I do indeed, yes.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
My entire paternal side is in France, except for my father, who lives in the States.
Okay. So you have relatives in France.
I do, yes.
That's why. Because you, on the list that you sent me of places you visited, you tend to go quite a bit off the beaten track. You know, you don't visit places that necessarily every tourist hits.
Exactly.
Right.
Been there, done that. So like to say, check out something new.
That's great. You have been around many, many regions of France. Have you noticed a lot of difference between all those regions?
The obvious regional differences in foods and weather, but other than that,
right.
I find it, similar. People are similar all over.
Yeah. See that, and some people say that there's areas of France where people are more or less friendly, but I don't really notice that myself when I go around the country. I think it's about the same, really.
I agree.
Yeah. So do you speak French?
Oui, bien sûr.
Oui, voilà. Have you always spoken French?
Well, that's a funny story. I was born in France, actually.
Oh, where?
At Nîmes.
Très bien.
Yep.
Belle ville.
And my father pursued the American dream. He married an American woman, and just before I started kindergarten, he moved the family to the States, and I was raised in the States.
Uh-huh.
I spoke French first and a little bit of Spanish, and the school officials, when I started kindergarten, told my parents to speak only English to me.
Uh-huh.
So I lost my French.
Oh.
I had to relearn it.
But you probably knew how to pronounce everything, and you probably had an excellent ear for it.
Yeah, it came back quickly once I studied it again in school.
Mm-hmm. I have to say it's pretty difficult raising a bilingual child in the U.S. because I lived in the U.S. Well, we lived in the U.S. till my daughter was 7, and I spoke very little French to her. Because whenever I spoke French to her in public, people would stare at us, and it made her terribly uncomfortable. Or people would come up to us and ask us, oh, are you from France? And then tell me about their, one visit in France or whatever. And when you're in the middle of your everyday life, that gets to be annoying after a while. I just stopped speaking French with her. And it's only when we came to France, if you speak English with your kids in France, people look at you like, oh, wow, this kid is lucky. This kid is learning English. This is great. And over there, it's more like, oh, this is bizarre. What are they doing? So it was a little bit different experience for me, but it's really hard to keep up French when you're in the U.S., I think.
It is very hard. Yes, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And so later you took it in school or something?
I did. I took it in high school, and then I spent my junior year of high school in France.
Ah.
Yes, that's what really helped bring it back.
Yes. Yes, nothing like that. Yeah. So you went and stayed with relatives or something?
Yes, I lived with my grandfather and went to school in Nîmes.
Excellent. That's a great story. All right. So you know French very well. You have been all over France. Today I've picked a few places to talk about, kind of around the 3 departments of Bouches-du-Rhône, Gard, and Hérault a little bit. There's only one thing in the Hérault, but it's all in the south, kind of center south. Not Provence. Provence is further east, and not the southwest, which is Toulouse, where I am, but kind of in the middle, around Montpellier, Aix-en-Provence.
Exactly. Yeah.
That kind of area, and it's a part of France that gets plenty of visitors, but really not that many, I think, comparatively to, say, Provence or Paris or something like that.
I agree, yeah.
So let's start with Aix-en-Provence. What are some highlights for you of Aix-en-Provence, things that people should see when they're there?
Well, my intention was to make sure I was there on a market day, because I had heard that was, you had to be there on a market day. So we did that. That was one of the main reasons we wanted to go.
Do you remember what day the market is?
The day we were there, it was a Thursday.
Okay.
But there's 2 days that in Aix. I can't remember what the other day is, but Thursday was the day we were there.
Yeah, I'll look it up and put it on the website for people who want to find that.
So it was very fun to walk around and look at all the things that were available for sale. Kind of like on one side of this boulevard, it was all the food type things, the vegetables and the meats and such, and then on the other side of the street was more of the linens and old books and furniture, and it was great fun to stroll around looking at all that stuff and snapping pictures.
Yes, and navigating around the old ladies and their food carts and their dogs, some of them.
Yes. Exactly.
That's fun. So did you go to Aix in the middle of the summer, or was it off season?
We were there in June.
In June. So yeah, a little bit off season, but not too much. Okay, very good. So is that all you did in Aix? Just the market?
No. The other reason we wanted to go there is because I have been collecting Santon since I spent that year studying in France. Every trip back to France, I would go to the Beau de Provence and buy my Santon.
Yes.
From a particular artisan, but he no longer was selling in the Beau, and I found out that we needed to go to his atelier near Aix, so that was the other reason we wanted to go there. So I could buy my Santon.
Very nice. So you'll have to send me info on the name of this person. So if other people want to go visit him, that would be fun, I think.
It would be.
Yeah, Santons are a beautiful part of the traditions of Provence. I have a few. They're really expensive these days, but some of them are really, really beautiful.
They are gorgeous. I have the very short ones. They're not
the
too
new
long.
ones. Yeah. I have a cousin in the Nîmes area actually, who every Christmas he makes a beautiful crèche with all his Santons, and he's a photographer, so he takes fabulous pictures of his crèche. It's very nice.
I do the same thing here. Have my Santons set up here and get very angry with any children that jump around anywhere near them.
Yeah.
Can't break those. I have to go to France to get those.
You can probably buy them online, right? Maybe you can buy them on Amazon, but maybe not. I don't know. I have never looked.
I have never looked either.
Yeah. But
It's more fun.
It is more fun to go get them in Aix. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And we walked around a little bit on that main boulevard, which now I can't think of the name of it.
The Cours Mirabeau?
Yes, the Cours Mirabeau. We walked up and down that street.
It's a miracle. I remember the name. It's a miracle.
Yes, and so we looked around the shops and stopped in a bookstore there, and and I went looking for because Cours Mirabeau was suggested to see, and the Fontaine de Quatre Dauphins. And went looking around and around, walking all over, following the maps. Which, oh, by the way, number one tip for me is when you go to any of these towns, hit the tourism office. They have wonderful maps and information for you.
They do.
Yeah. So I'm following the maps, not figuring out why I can't find this fountain, and finally realize it was under a tent and being renovated. That's why I couldn't find it.
Yeah. It was right there, just under a tent.
It was right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also the same day that they were having the strike in Paris, again, the taxi strike in Paris, because of Uber, and the taxi drivers in Aix were all parked right along
blocking everything
right around there too.
Yeah. So this is happening again yesterday and the day before. There were massive strikes in France. This time it's not about Uber. This time it's about the loi du travail. So a proposed reform to the laws that legislate work and what employers can have you do and how much they have to pay for overtime and stuff like that. And so I think on and off we're going to have, I mean, this is France. There are going to be strikes on and off. I think this one will fizzle just like all the other ones. But it's going to be, you might run into some taxis blocking things, or maybe it'll be truck drivers or whatever. And in that case, honestly, don't get angry. Whenever I've had American visitors with me and been stuck somewhere because of a strike, they get so angry because they've never experienced anything like this. But culturally, this is perfectly acceptable in France. And if the police is present, it's mostly to make it possible for the strikers to protest. They're not there to stop them from doing their protest. So there's this expression in French, prendre son mal en patience. You just have to be patient. Just let them do what they do, and you will waste a few hours, and then that's it's France. It happens. It's just, if you're not stuck in a car, then go have a coffee or something and try to ignore the whole thing. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I was going to say, that's another tip. Be flexible. Things like that are going to pop up. Go find something else to do. Yeah. Go sit, enjoy a cafe,
Yeah, exactly. It's very. I've never seen cafes go on strike, thankfully. So, so we're safe. Our way of life is safe. All right. Okay. Do we move on from Aix?
We can. I did make a point while I was
Yes?
in Aix. I did make a point of going and buying some calissons after hearing your story.
Of course. And are you in the I like 'em camp or I don't like 'em camp?
I do, but I didn't eat the whole box.
Oh, there you go. Yes. You have to be a French kid and just down the box, and then you'll be. Just the thought of eating one of them just makes me want to eat. So, but they're lovely. Calissons d'Aix are a little marzipan treat with some glazed sugar on top. I'm told people love them, and they are the specialty, and it's very nice.
Yeah, very good.
All right. So let's move on to the next place, a place called Lambesc, also in the Bouches-du-Rhône, and I have never been, so I'm all ears. Tell me about that place.
Well, Lambesc was something we decided to do in between after leaving Aix-en-Provence, and we were on our way somewhere else, and my husband noticed the sign on the road, the Route Nationale, that indicated Lambesc, and then it has the 4 historic sites. So that caught his attention, and so we just decided we're going to pull in and check it out.
Yeah.
It's just a little, medieval town, not very large. It has a couple of Romanesque churches. It has an ancient lavoir.
Yes. That's like a place where you go, where people used to go wash their clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we walked around, and I was disappointed because, silly me, it was during the middle of the afternoon when most things are closed, including the churches, because there was a dome on one I could see from the outside, and I wanted to see what it looked like on the inside, and didn't get a chance to get in. But it was a nice little walk around, and we looked for some place to eat in the center of the city. Couldn't find anything.
Oh, wow. That must be that small then.
It was, and we found a bar, so we had peanuts for lunch and a drink instead.
The bar couldn't make you a croque monsieur or anything.
They didn't have any of that stuff. Nope. They just, had some chips or peanuts. And then finally, as we were finding our way out of the town, the circular way around, we did see one cafe way on the other side of town, but it was already too late. So there was one, but we just didn't find it right away.
And this is a word to the wise. If you go to off the beaten track places, they might not have a restaurant or very much in the way of services.
Exactly.
But you had a car, so you could move on and go somewhere else. It's not like, And even if they do have a restaurant, it's probably going to be one of these restaurants that serves only on time, like 12:30 to 2, and then go away. And they won't even see. I mean, really, you need to be seated between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m. And then they stop seating people because the chef is going to go home.
Yeah, exactly. So we just went on to Arles for looking for food. Yes.
So it sounds like it's a nice low key place to just walk around and visit the church.
Check out.
Yeah. But the church are not always open. Again, that can be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Arles.
Okay. That's where we went next. Looking for food.
Yes.
Another tip. Yeah, like you were saying, they don't serve after certain hours for lunch, and for dinner they don't serve before 6 or 7 usually.
Yeah, 7:30 would be the earliest.
We approached a couple places, and they said, nope, you can't. It was too early. You can't eat yet. So we decided to kill some time by going and visiting the Saint-Trophime, the church and the cloister of Saint-Trophime.
Oh, that looks that you sent me a picture of that. That looks really marvelous.
Yeah, it was interesting to walk around. I had already been to the arena many times, so we decided to do something different. I'd been to Saint-Trophime once, but my husband hadn't been, so we killed an hour or so walking around in the cloister and in the church. And
Yeah, I've been to that. I've been to Arles, and actually I did a whole episode on Arles, and it's just a beautiful, it's one of these towns that deserves to be better known than it is. I think it's
absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't get the number of visitors that it should, because it's got so much antiquity stuff, and it has this fabulous. In August, I think they have the festival with all the Roman stuff going on. It's fantastic. So that's a nice place to check out if you're into Roman things.
Yeah, there's plenty of shopping to do too, and and the little boutiques and stuff. It's well worth a visit, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Aigues-Morte.
Aigues-Morte, yeah, Aigues-Morte, I think, is a really cool place.
Yes.
It's, did you know that it was planned and constructed by Saint Louis?
I knew, I mean, I could tell, okay, I have been to Aigues-Morte, but I haven't read on the history very much. But they have this big statue of Saint Louis right in the city, and you keep seeing statues and kind of things around Saint Louis. So he's a big deal there. So do tell us what happened.
Well, Aigues-Morte is the very first city under his influence constructed in something other than that circular format that most old cities are in. It's a grid format, and it was the very first one.
Yes. It's a beautiful, and it's a walled city, so it has this old, medieval wall, and it's got cobblestones, and as a matter of fact, you can't drive in the old part of the city. They close that off to most traffic, but they do have parking lots all around the walls, around the outside of the walls, so it's not really hard to find a place to park.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and you have to pay for it a little bit, but it's not outrageous or anything. And then they do have these canals nearby. It's a really lovely, I thought, and pretty touristy.
It is touristy, but it's so picturesque.
Yeah.
And it's fun to walk on the ramparts and to see the tower. And I thought the history was interesting too. Mm-hmm. It was used as a prison for Protestants during the War of the Religions.
Ah, yeah.
The Huguenots got stuck in there, yeah.
Yeah. We weren't very nice to the Protestants.
No.
Or the Cathars. Anyway, yeah. Or the Jews, for that matter, yeah. We have French people have if you look at it with kind of an open mind, you realize, oh yeah, we were nice to a lot of groups of people. We've gotten better on the margins, Anyway, yeah, so Aigues-Morte is very picturesque. It's lovely to walk around, and it gives you a nice feel for the old streets and lots of cafes, and they have nice street performers. I do have one thing that will always, and this is very French of me. We go to this restaurant to order, and we ordered pizza, and there was like 6 of us or something. And the pizzas were very good, but then we asked for a bottle of rosé. Now this is I asked for the brand that I normally pay like €2.50 or maybe €3 for that bottle of rosé when I buy it at the store. Mm-hmm. They charge €20 at the restaurant, and I was just like, I was so mad. And I told the lady, I'm like, you are kidding me, right? I mean, okay, 10. It costs 3, charge 10. Okay, but 20, I was like, I'm no tourist. Don't do this to me. But I paid the money anyway. What are you gonna do? I mean, but it's so yeah. But it's a touristy town because it's lovely, and
exactly it is.
And we stayed right in the walls, which was nice. Although I wouldn't recommend the hotel where we stayed. I would actually recommend you stay away from that hotel because the beds felt like sleeping on a trampoline. So, if you sleep alone, maybe, but if you don't, it's like, oh my God, this is awful. You can't sleep. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought the city was absolutely charming. Just really charming and
fun to photograph.
Yes, great for photos. And if you stay late, it's one of these towns that after maybe 5 p.m., the tour buses leave because they don't have enough hotels on the premises to house all the people who can visit. And so 5, 6 p.m. the tourists have gone, and then you get the city to yourself. So even if you're not staying in Aigues-Morte, I would recommend you go visit it kind of late in the day. That's when the light is nice. You'll get nicer pictures, fewer people in your pictures. You'll get the street performers are all out. Of course, the cafes and the restaurants are pretty full, but it's a lovely place.
Yeah, if you hang around, have a meal, and then hang around till it gets dark, then you see the city all lit up, the walls all lit up too.
Yeah. How long would you recommend to visit Aigues-Morte? How long do you think?
A couple hours.
Yeah.
Depending on the time of day you go, and whether you're going to stay, till after the tourists are gone or not. But if you're doing it on the way to something else, the morning, and then move on. Yeah.
I would think 2 to 3 hours, and you've seen everything there is to see in Aigues-Morte. It's really, I mean, if you want to stay longer for the ambiance, that's another thing. But if you're just on your way, there's not like a big thing you should see. I mean, they do have the one church, and the advantage of being a touristy place is that church is always open pretty much. I mean, they have opening and closing hours, but that's one where you can always get in and look at it, and it's a very old church, and you can see all the references to Saint Louis in there.
An old church with modern altar
art
and stuff in it, though.
Yes,
Modern art in it. I thought that was different.
Yes. They have some nice. Well, I like that. They have nice, new, different looking. I'll have to look for my pictures, see if I can find them. But yeah, I do remember seeing. I don't remember if that's where I saw this incredible organ, modern organ, church organ. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was different. Yep.
So that's Aigues-Morte.
Yes.
And then Le Grau-du-Roi. Now, I have been, but it's been so long, I remember nothing. So.
Le Grau-du-Roi is where do you go when you want to go to the beach? It's just to the south of Aigues-Morte, just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah.
And it's got the nice sand beaches, not pebble beaches.
Mm-hmm.
When you first pull into Grau-du-Roi, there's a public beach almost immediately when you get in there, and then or you can move on to what they call the Lambesc, which is on the other side of the town, and it's a little almost like peninsula area on the other side. Also, well-known beach, public beach area.
Yeah. So that's a beach town.
It's a beach town, and if you go in June like we did, it is not crowded at all. It's had a wonderful afternoon sun.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it has these lots of like condos, right?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
not as many as next door at the Grande Motte.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the Grande Motte that has like it's nothing but condos.
Yeah.
So these are places where French people go to vacation. These are not touristy places because they're not full of history or anything that interesting. Is that your phone?
Sorry about that. Of course the phone has to ring.
Of course. Everybody wants to talk to you right now.
Get the dog out of the way so she doesn't bark and the phone rings.
Yes, we haven't had a dog accident yet. I was worried about having dog noises because I have this brand new guide dog puppy that I got from the guide dog school just today. So we just met, and he's 2 months old. I mean, he's just tiny. But I tired him out before I got on the phone. I took him on a 2-kilometer walk, and that was too long for him. I had to carry him most of the way. But
oh, funny!
He was all tuckered out, and then he lied under the desk, and he started snoring.
Oh no!
So I'm like, okay, good. You're ready for a good nap. So no noise from the puppy yet. It's good. Anyway, so la Grande Motte et le Grau-du-Roi, they're nice places, but they're places for regular French families to go on vacation. So they rent a condo for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or lots of them. Yeah, lots of them buy places, and have them year round, but then just use them for a little bit in the summer. A lot of family vacation houses. So one member of the family has it and everybody uses it. And, it's that sort of thing. You don't hear a lot of English in those cities, do you? I mean,
no, you're right. Excuse me. You're right. It's families that go down there for the summer, vacation thing for the most part.
Yeah, lots of kids. So if you want to see regular French life, go to le Grau-du-Roi or la Grande-Motte.
There you go. Exactly.
But I wouldn't call these places scenic or even picturesque or anything. I mean, they're not ugly, but they're not. The beaches are wonderful. Because they're nice, big, wide, sandy beaches with the water is kind of shallow for a long time. So if you have little kids, they're not going to drown right away.
Exactly.
You can let them run around the water without them, it's not dangerous. It's very much unlike, if you're from California or something, like you step into the water and you've drowned. That's it, and you have big waves and stuff. No, it's nothing like that in that part of the Mediterranean. It's really mild and, perfect for families with kids.
And the water temperature is wonderful in June too. Has been every time I've been there in June.
That's good. Yeah, see, I've gotten used to go to Spain. I go to a place in Spain that's very much the same type of place. It's for family vacations. But the water is a little warmer. Well, it's quite a bit warmer actually. And I'm such a wimp. I won't go into warm water, so so it's terrible. All right, very good. Aimargues. We're back to we're still in the Gard, Aimargues. Not a place I know.
That's because it's a little bitty town. It really doesn't have anything putting it on the map other than the fact that there is a hotel there and it would make a good place to base out of to go to all these other places.
Oh.
Basically, that's what it was for me. That's where we stayed, and at our home base, my father has a vacation house there, so that's why we were in Aimargues. But
and is that the one that has that does the not the corrida, but the like the stuff with the bulls?
They do have Course de Taureau in Aimargues also.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
All over that region.
Yeah, because that's what I saw pictures of. Is I don't know if they're like the corridas where they kill the bulls or not.
Too small a town for that. Generally, you only find the corrida at the larger venues like Nîmes and Arles.
And Arles is no kill at this point. I think Nîmes might still be a kill corrida.
Oh, it definitely is. They just had Pentecôte and they just had the feria.
Yeah.
I got the pictures from my cousins, so I know.
Yeah. Are they into that? Are your cousins into that?
Oh, yes. My aunt and uncle follow one particular toreador and post about him all the time. And
is that right?
Mm-hmm.
See, I have family there, and they don't participate in that at all. So I don't know anything about it. Just that I don't want to go see a bull getting killed, but I guess
I grew up with it. My grandfather explained every little move, what was going on and why, and so to me, it's something. I see the art in it personally, and if it's done properly, the bull is killed instantaneously and doesn't feel that final blow. So,
yeah,
it's definitely an acquired taste, and you need to be educated. Otherwise, just to look at it without understanding what's going on, it does look terribly cruel.
Yeah, from the outside, when you're not in that kind of culture, it looks. I don't know how much longer it's gonna keep happening, even in France. I mean, Catalonia nearby in Spain has outlawed corrida. They can have games with bulls, but no killing. And there's many cities in France that have done the same. So I think we're slowly going to the point where Well, what's going to happen is they're going to get to the point where there won't be enough people supporting the events, the feria, to make it worth it, and so it'll die off. But it'll be maybe another 20 years or something. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe it won't die off. Maybe I'm completely wrong and people love it enough to keep it going. I don't know.
You may be right, but they've always got the course Camargue with the bulls there that can,
That's more fun.
It's way more fun, yes.
yes, because that's where they let some bulls loose and you run around and you get a rise out of it, but nobody gets killed. Hopefully none of the runners get killed either, if they're smart. I mean, they have places where they can jump over a wooden fence, and so they're protected.
For the most part, yeah. Sometimes the bull jumps over the fence right behind them.
Yes.
Which is always quite exciting.
Some of these bulls are athletic.
They are. They're very fun to watch.
Yeah. Very good. All right, so that was Aimargues, and then Sommières, another place I have not heard of.
Yeah, Sommières, that's actually where we went to see the Course de Taureau. And it's a old Roman town. There's a beautiful Roman bridge. That's a nice little town to walk around in. Mm-hmm. They also, at least in the region, have a well-known market day, which I think was Saturday.
Okay.
We ended up not going on market day, but going back on market day, but we were there on a Sunday for the Course de Taureau. Mm-hmm. Pretty little town. Yeah,
and it sounds like it's very well known for its tauromachie, because most of the pictures of the town had bulls in them, so.
Yeah, that's probably right. They have a good size arena. And,
Is it one of those wooden arenas, or is it Roman?
It's newer. It's concrete.
Oh, okay.
Seating. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. So that looked really scenic from the pictures. It looked like just a pleasant little French town.
Yes, really pretty to walk around in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that would be another one. Find out the market day and, do the market and walk around town and have a nice meal in one of their quaint little restaurants.
Yeah. Probably not tour bus type place, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still many, many places in France that are scenic and yet don't get, great numbers of tourists. I mean, they get the occasional person like you and your family who go visit, but nothing, not by the hundreds anyway.
Not a major destination, sorry.
Yeah, even though it's beautiful.
Yeah, and these places, whether we see them with a sign like we did with Lambesc or Sommières, we went purposely there. That's another thing. Pick up the green guides. They're well worth it. They point out these quaint little places that you're not going to see on the top 10 lists and are worth seeing for sure.
Yes. Yeah, so explain a little more about the green guides, because not everybody knows what those are.
The green guides, the Guide Michelin, the Michelin travel guides. They're green books, and they're available for each different area in France. Mm-hmm. And so there's one for the Provence area. There's one for up north. And they give really nice descriptions, have little mini maps and everything. They have maps. They have descriptions of all the little towns that have anything worth seeing in them.
Right. And what they have that a lot of other guys do not is they include places that if you just follow blogs and get, the Rick Steves kind of books, they only mention the big hits. Whereas the Michelin Guide, it's made in France by French people, and it is translated, but it's got a lot more grainy, small places that are off the beaten path. Yes,
and we constantly were using our green guide all over every day as we were traveling around. Yeah. And I would buy. You can get them in the States, but honestly, if you go to a bookstore in France and buy it in English, they have them in English. It's way cheaper than ordering it here. I found.
Is that right?
Yes. I'm surprised how much more they charge for them here.
I'm even cheaper than that. I just borrow them from the library.
There you go.
Because I only need it for like a few days. So, and
exactly.
And I take it back. Yeah. So, and those are really, really helpful. Yeah. And they point out some good restaurants and at various prices and things. And see, that's one thing that I actually like about having a paper guide. It's that, I mean, you can do all sorts of research online before you travel, but you could spend your whole life researching things. You know, you go to TripAdvisor or I don't know, these sites like that, and
Yes.
you go down these rabbit holes reading, and then 3 hours later you're still looking for a hotel for one night. Well, your night is almost over, you know. So yeah, I mean, listening to a podcast because people tell me, well, but then you make a podcast about France. That's also time, but you can listen to the podcast while doing something else, like while, you know, walking your dogs or doing your laundry or whatever.
Exactly.
The time commitment is not quite the same as, you know, you're in front of your computer and you're doing all this research. It's easier to just get a book that is made by locals that tells you, you know, this is where we like to go. Try it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. All right. So La Grotte des Demoiselles. I have heard of this one, but I have not been. That one's in Hérault.
Yes.
So that's a different part.
And we were there in last June, when it was the terrible heat wave. And
So
the
you
day
like that.
Yes, the day we went to the Grotte, we had originally planned on visiting a chateau near Avignon, but it was so miserably hot. And we knew the chateau would probably not be air conditioned. And so as we're looking at our green guide, you know, and things, and our map, I said, we should go to the Grotte des Demoiselles because it's got to be cooler. Caves are always cooler.
That's right. If you want to be cool, going to a church or a cave.
Or a cave. So we drove up to the Grotte des Demoiselles. It was a beautiful drive up there, and it is well worth a visit. My husband is kind of a cave enthusiast.
Oh, perfect.
He's visited a number of them stateside, and he enjoyed the Gouffre de Parirac when we were there previously.
Yeah, I love that.
And as we were walking through the Grotte des Demoiselles, he could not stop exclaiming, "These are the most beautiful formations I've ever seen. I can't believe how fabulous." I mean, he just kept going on and on and on. Like, wow, if you've been in so many caves, and he was so impressed.
Yeah, that one he loved, huh? Oh, that's
yes,
great.
he did. It is gorgeous in there. It really is. Well worth a visit.
And is it one that's easily, accessible, meaning, like, do they have, like, a cement path and handrails and stuff like that? Or
They do. They do. They have handrails. It's not, I wouldn't say handicap accessible in any way, really. But handrails and stairs, yes. Places to study. There's little benches here and there. You can stop and rest if you want. There was a guide who did a very good job as we went through. It was just gorgeous. It was beautiful.
That sounds good. I love caves. I love to go visit them. I've sometimes been known to, you know, hike a long way just to go see a cave. And some of them are nice, and some of them are not as nice. But of course, you do realize that now that you've been in a cave in France, when you go to a cave in the U.S., they will ask you if you've been to caves outside of the U.S., and if you have, they don't really want you in there because they're afraid that you're going to be bringing, you know, disease or something.
Really?
Yes. Well, and in my case, I just said, no, I haven't been to a cave. I mean, it had been like a few years. I owned none of the same clothing. Like, how could I possibly be carrying a disease from 3 years ago?
Exactly.
Know? So I was like, no, I haven't. But yeah, they do ask you. It's very strange. Yeah. But I guess if you went from a French cave and then get on the plane and go see an American cave the next week, you might be carrying some sort of blight for cave.
I suppose that could be, yeah.
So Grotte des Demoiselles sounds lovely, sounds like my kind of place. And then we have Uzès.
Uzès is such a
It's
pretty little
beautiful,
town.
isn't it? Yes.
It is, and it's so funny because this year was the first time I'd been to Uzès, even though I've vacationed and lived in the area before.
Right. Yeah. What
Never
took you
been
so
up there.
long? Yeah.
Just, I don't know, never got up there. So
Did you go to the Pont du Gard, or did you also ignore that?
Oh, I've been to the Pont du Gard so many times.
Okay.
We drove right past. This time. I know I'll be going again when touring with family again or friends.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
another day for that. But
Well, while we're on the Pont du Gard, I have to say that they just okay, so the locals, Pont du Gard used to always be free. You could just park for free, and for decades it was that way.
yeah, you can just walk over there. Yeah.
Right, but then they developed it, and they put in this nice parking lot, and they put in, a museum and rest areas, and they did all sorts of things. And then they started charging everybody to get in, and free access was closed off. It was 18, I think 8, is it 18 euros? I can't remember if it's 18 or 8. Anyway.
I thought it was 11 when we were there, but that was a few years back.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember what the price is, but it's not hundreds of dollars or anything, but and the locals they went crazy. Like, they didn't want to pay for access to the Pont du Gard. And so if you live there, they actually give you cards for 2 vehicles, and you can go year round for free. All you have to make sure of is that you have this one, your card is linked to your to your license, to your car license, plate number. And so you can't just exchange cards, Anyway,
Okay.
So they did that. But then the people kept on complaining, and so they've now made it okay to walk on the site for free. But what's going to happen is people are going to do what they used to do, which is park all over those
Yes.
streets leading up to the Pont du Gard, because French people are cheap, and then, well, they're going to have traffic problems because people will park any which way that they can. And French people, we're terrible.
And then the tourists won't know where to go because they see cars here and there.
Exactly. And so I don't know how long it's going to last. I think it's not that much to pay for a place like the Pont du Gard that you should visit. I mean, you should see it. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. You should do a little canoe or get wet, or at least your feet wet or something. It's just lovely down there. Anyway, so that's a little bit of French politics right there. They decided they caved in. The politicians caved in and made it free again. But it's going to be a nightmare to park, because people are going to park 2 and 3 kilometers away in somebody's driveway just so they don't have to pay the $18 to get in. French people are that crazy. Anyway. All right. But we're talking about Uzès, which is nearby and absolutely gorgeous. So
it is. Oh, such a pretty little town.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the tourist office right away and got a nice little map from them to walk around the old part of the city, and was a little disappointed because we were not able to visit the Duke's Palace. And
is it always closed, or was it closed?
No, it's not always closed.
Okay.
And when I complained about that to my father, he said, well, was the flag flying up on the tower? And I said, yes. And he said, that's because the Duke is home. So that's why I sent that one picture with the flag on it, because, that was the indication. No public tours that day because they were in residence. But other than that, we walked around.
Yeah. So if you see the flag, don't go. I didn't know this. This is good to know.
Yeah.
And Uzès is... Sorry, go ahead.
You can see everything else in town. You just can't go into the palace itself. So,
And Uzès is big enough that it probably has a few hotels and such, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a good place to stay. Or Nîmes would also be a good place to stay around there.
Yes, Nîmes has plenty of places to stay and plenty to see there too, of course.
Yeah. Nîmes is okay, but we didn't plan on talking about Nîmes, but we might as well. We're right there. I mean,
right next door.
Yeah, it's right next door. So Nîmes is just lovely. Has this temple-looking thing. It's
the Maison Carrée.
La Maison Carrée. Ah, see, you remembered the name faster than I did. Yes, La Maison Carrée. It looks like a Greek temple.
It does, yeah.
And I don't remember any other history surrounding that, but it just looks fabulous. It makes for beautiful pictures. And again, if you go after most of the tourists have gone, you get better pictures. Mm-hmm. That's why staying in Nîmes might be good. Les arènes de Nîmes are also very nice, although they're pretty dark. They're getting cleaned up. Last time I was there, they had started on a renovation project that will make them nice and beige again.
People don't realize that the arena in Nîmes is in better shape than the one in Rome. Everybody wants to go see the Colosseum in Rome. It's like, we have a better one in Nîmes.
yeah, it's beautiful, but it's not as big, obviously, as the Colosseum in Rome. But yeah, it's in really good shape. It's beautiful, and the way to see it is to go to a concert. They do concerts all the time.
Yes.
Like big names. Like if Stevie Wonder comes to sing in France, it's going to be in Nîmes. Mm-hmm. He's come to sing there a few times. I've never been able to go yet, but I'm hoping he'll keep touring and I'll get a chance one of these days. It's a lovely place. It's a really good place for a concert. And
I actually saw the Ice Capades there once.
Oh, there you go.
That was very strange, being in an ancient Colosseum and having ice. I don't know how they did the flooring, but having ice in the middle and seeing people skating around. It was just so bizarre to me.
Yeah, it probably wasn't ice. It was probably an ice-like surface. They do this in a lot of places. It's material that is just as good as ice to skate on. It feels like ice, but it's not ice. So Nîmes is a beautiful place. I think next time I go in the area, and as a matter of fact, I need to go because I have to go to a wedding. A relative is getting married this July, and I think we're going to stay in Nîmes. It's one of those. Good
choice.
Yeah, it's one of those beautiful. Or Uzès, I don't know. See, if I choose Uzès or Nîmes, what do you say?
Well, Nîmes is harder to navigate, honestly, because it's bigger, of course.
Yeah.
So I personally would lean towards Uzès just because it's easy in and out and easy getting around, and Smaller. It's not that far away. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I have not, visited Uzès very much, so it probably would be exciting. Very good. Okay, and now we're going back to the Bouches-du-Rhône, place called Barbentane, which I don't know anything about.
Barbentane is a small town just to the south of Avignon. And in and of itself, it's just another one of your typical quaint small towns. The reason we went there, though, otherwise I wouldn't have known to go there. The reason we went was because we wanted to go see what is known as a Carretto Romano, which is a tradition that had died out at one point but has been revived in recent years. It's done during the fete, the town's festival. It is a type of parade, and it's a throwback to the days before tractors and machinery, when your farming was done with horse-drawn implements and such. So they would have parades that would celebrate the horses and all that. And it died out, of course, when tractors came in. So they brought this back, and they have horses that have these elaborate things, like elaborate horse colliery things put on them in these gorgeous, gorgeous colors, just vibrant colors that remind me of Guatemalan clothing or something.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful colors, and they have them all lined up, and they're all strung together with one long rope, and they're run through town all connected together. They're run through town, they walked them through town this time, but sometimes they will run them. And then they're followed by horse carts.
Wow. So this is a festival.
So this is during a festival, and this is a parade they have. So there was a band that led the very beginning, and then they run the horses that are all decorated. You see the Provençal Arlesians and Gardiens riding horses also in it. Mm-hmm. Bunch of horses and carts. The carts are decorated up, and then the last cart was so decorated up it had trees and shrubberies that were so huge. I don't know how they got through town. It was amazing. It was like full trees up on them. It was gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
Really fun to see.
Wow. And it's in this small town that they do this festival.
It was in this small town. Evidently, they're starting to do more and more of these Caretto Romadas in other Provençal towns.
How do you spell that?
Caretto is
Caretto. So like a une charrette.
It's a Provençal word. Yes, it's a Provençal word.
Yeah. Romano. So Caretto Romano.
Romado.
Romado, not Romano. Yeah. Romado. Okay.
Carreto.
Mm-hmm.
Romado. Caretto Romado.
Romado. Okay. Wow. Never heard of those. They must be. Yeah.
And they're coming back, which is nice it's nice to see that old traditions are coming out, and it was fun, especially if you like horses and you know, pageantry. It's very fun to see, and I have to mention, close to Barbentane, just south of it, is a place called the Abbey of Saint-Michel de Frigolet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my recommendations. If you're anywhere near Avignon, make a trip down to the Abbey. They have, it's open to the public to view, and there is a chapel or the church in there where they have a huge display of santons.
Oh.
So it's huge. They've got tons and tons of them in there with all the different characters of all the different métiers.
Oh, wow.
I'm not getting the word in English.
Professions. All the different trades. Because the Santon, they represent, it's a village where you see all the professions. So you see the baker and everybody's represented. Yeah.
Fishmonger and a shepherd and the hunters and
teachers and
so they've built this, it's got this, I don't know if it's paper mache or what that they made the hills out of, but you've got the little people all over this thing, and it was just really, and the church itself is gorgeous. It's one of those ones with the deep blue ceiling with the bright gold stars and lots of gilt here and there. It's just very, very pretty.
Oh, very nice. Well, I'll try and see if I can go visit that next summer when I go. That sounds like... And it's near Avignon, you said?
Yes.
So not too far from Nîmes and Uzès and all that. A bit of a drive, but nothing impossible.
Easily done,
Yeah, and it used to be that they sold paper, because you mentioned how do they make those hills? It used to be that they sold the paper. It was this dark brown paper with little splotches of different colors, and you would just wrap that. Well, first of all, you had to mess it up. You had to, make it crinkly and such. But it was thick enough that it would spring back, and it had just enough of a plastic to it that it would spring back a little bit and gave it a natural look. And you just drape that over cardboard boxes, and to make the crèche, you just do the inside of the cave, and then you roll down the hill, and you do up above, and you do the moulin, and you do all the stuff. And we used to make a small one like that when I was growing up, every Christmas. And now I haven't seen that type of paper. I don't know if they don't make it anymore.
But I want to get some.
Yeah, it's like a roll of wrapping paper, but it's just a different material, and it's made so that you can make your own big display, and you can make it big or small. I'll have to ask my cousin. Ask your father and his family if they have seen that paper around.
I will have to. I've tried to do it with paper bags myself.
Paper bags? But you paint them?
No, but paper bags are brown, so I would just kind of
those.
cut them open and squish them up and try and make it look, kind of hill-like.
I guess if you took paper bags and you have to kind of paint them, get them looking like dirt. They need to look like dirt.
Yes.
Anyway, you need to be an artist to do this sort of thing. Wow, what fun, what fun. So, okay, you have been... So since you have family there, I assume you always go back to that part of France.
Yes.
Whenever you come to France, you go visit your family, I suspect.
Yes. We might go visit things on the way to or from Paris in between, but yes, we usually base out of the south, yeah.
Yeah. That's the blessing/curse of having family somewhere. You always end up going there because you want to go see your family.
Right.
So you see the same place over and over again. Although, in your case, there's many, many small things that you can do right around there that are just fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah, and we will take, 1 or 2 day overnight trips out to go farther out and visit something and then come back. And plenty of that to do.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. Well, we're to the bottom of our list. So if you could only go one place in France, where would it be?
Anywhere in France?
Anywhere in France. You can go anywhere for 2 days.
Oh, I would have to go back to the Gorges du Tarn.
Ah, les Gorges du Tarn. Oh, why is that?
So
why is that?
Beautiful. Oh, my goodness.
That is so close to where I live, that to me it's like, Gorges du Tarn. I've seen them a million times.
Well, maybe if you've seen it a million times, saw it for the first time, this last trip, and it was just so much fun driving through and seeing all those tiny little villages and stopping and walking around and looking at them, and the scenery was just so gorgeous.
Yes.
So pretty.
Yeah.
It was one of the most beautiful spots I've ever seen in France. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll have to do another episode on the Gorges du Tarn. How long have you spent there?
We spent a couple days driving through. I mean, we took our time. We stopped at a lot of little villages and stopped in Saint-Denis and along the way. And
yeah.
And
yeah, it's very nice. And if you like canoeing, it's perfect. If you have kids and you want your kids to get canoeing, stop here and there to go on a little canoeing trip. I mean, nothing super difficult, like a couple of hours. It's, they don't need to be canoeing champions to enjoy this.
There were school children kayaking when we were there. We saw them. Yeah.
It's easily done. It's not dangerous or difficult or whatever. I mean, in the middle of the winter, it's, obviously there's more water and more flow and it takes more technique. But in the summer, it's nice. And yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we should do it. I've been there so many times. To me, it's like this white rock and the short little shrub landscape. I just
you need to see it with fresh eyes.
I guess I do. I haven't been in a while, but I've driven through there so many times that to me it's like, yeah, that's what France is. Lots of villages with a beautiful river going through it, and yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, but that part of France is definitely even more off the beaten track than where we were talking about. So that's strange. You wouldn't go to Paris. You wouldn't say, "Oh, I want to go."
Well, it's hard to choose. There are so many wonderful places and so many wonderful things to do. When you put me on the spot and say, well, pick one, it's,
yeah.
it was simply because that had impressed us so much on the last trip.
Yeah.
But there were so many other things that we did see. So that's a terrible question. Don't make me pick just one.
I know. It's like, who's your favorite child? Oh, I don't know. Unless you only have the one, then it's easy. But yeah,
exactly.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard. And you drove. So do you drive in France, or does your husband do the driving in France, or do you both drive?
We both drive, but for the most part, he does, because he's just one of those men that don't like to have somebody else driving. He's got to be in control.
But when you drive, is that perfectly comfortable to you? How do you compare that to driving back home in the U.S.?
It used to be easier. With the increase of the number of roundabouts bug me. They make me nervous. They make me very nervous. As a matter of fact, we had an accident this last time at a roundabout, the double lane kind. So
yeah, double lane roundabouts are a little bit tricky because if you're not used to them and if you don't take them all the time, you give the wrong signals to other drivers. And even if the accident is not your fault, which it typically isn't, because if you take them, anyway, I can't. It's a visual thing. I can't explain it on the podcast. But it's if you're not used to those bigger roundabouts, they can be a problem. The tiny ones with just one lane, those are easy, right? I mean, those are like,
that's no problem. It's those double ones that mess me up.
Yeah. And when you learn to drive in France, which you probably didn't, then you will practice some of these bigger, more complicated roundabouts just to avoid those sorts of problems. Yeah. But otherwise, driving in France doesn't faze you.
No. People ask me, do they drive on the right side of the road or drive in? Yes, they drive normally. So yes, you can drive in France. No problem.
That part is the same. Oh, and you know what? I've driven in England plenty, and it's not that difficult. I mean, you get used to, be on the wrong side of the road, and then you're okay, you get used to it. All right, wonderful. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap for us. Thank you so very much for coming on the show and sharing your experience.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's
fun. Do you have any last-minute wisdom about visiting France in general?
Last-minute wisdom? Well, we didn't talk about Paris that much, because we're doing the South. But the one thing I would recommend when you're in Paris, no matter what you're doing, you have to go eat. I always tell people that are going to go at least one block off the main drag, especially if you're in a touristy area, one or two blocks away to find a restaurant. You won't pay ridiculous prices usually, and it's more like being in with the real French rather than just hanging out with tourists.
And the other thing that I noticed from your list is that you stayed at a few Ibis hotels.
We have, just because it's so easy to go online and make our reservations in advance. It's easy in, easy out, reasonably priced, except for when we're in Paris. We like our little favorite boutique hotel in Paris. But otherwise... Which
one is that?
I hesitate to say because I don't want to be booked up next time I go. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Hôtel du Nord.
Okay.
Which is not to be confused with, there's another one that's called the Hôtel du Nord et l'Est, but it's just Hôtel du Nord. It's a cute little boutique hotel, very reasonably priced. They have free bicycle rentals out of the hotel. It's near the Place de la République, which maybe you don't want to stay in the area this week. But
right now, not a good idea, but the rest of the time is good. Yeah.
My son is currently staying there right now, and he sent me the message to, I said, let me know when you arrive. Yes, we arrived safely, and we're greeted by a riot complete with a police car set on fire.
Welcome to France.
Yep.
This feels like home, doesn't it?
But yeah, the guys there are very wonderful. They have a sweet dog there that named Pluto that greets everybody.
Nice.
It's a sweet little place.
It's a family affair.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, but otherwise, Ibis is always a good choice if you don't know. And so now they have these different levels of Ibis. They have Ibis Budget, so that's the cheaper thing.
Yes.
They have Ibis Styles.
That's the more expensive one.
A little bit more expensive, not that much.
And then regular.
Right, and then regular Ibis in between, right? So I think...
Right, that's the in-between one, yes.
Right. And very often, it's in the same freaking building. So they will do... it's the same chain. So they will buy a big old area, and they will have a central kitchen, and they will have a central everything for the staff. And then depending on which hotel you're staying in, you will have different halls. I mean, it's more or less decorated. The lobby is more or less fancy, but it's the same service because it's the same staff. One day they work at the Ibis Styles, and the next day they work at the Ibis Budget. But, so it's very, to me, it works. And if I don't know a place, that's where I tend to go stay. And I usually spring for the Styles, though, because...
Do you? We usually stay in the middle range one. We don't spend that much time there. It's a bed and it's a clean bathroom, so, good enough.
Yeah. And I could probably do that too, but, I just go... we don't...
Word of warning, though, the Ibis budget Ibis does not have air conditioning, and when you're in France, especially during a heat wave, and you have no air conditioning, it's miserable.
Bad. You need air conditioning. You definitely need it. Yeah, summer gets so hot. Yeah.
During the worst of that canicule last year, 104 degrees in Paris, and we had no air conditioning. It was sad.
That's miserable. But so were you at your boutique Hôtel du Nord, or were you at an Ibis?
We were at an Ibis next to Roissy because we were getting ready to leave.
It's right before you left. Yes.
Before we left, so we were right there. Yeah, and
that's miserable. Yeah. That's miserable. Oh, we can't leave on a miserable note. We got to We got to think of something fun to talk about before I let you go. That would be too sad. Food. What's your favorite French dish? You come to France.
Oh,
what
there
do you want
you go
to eat?
again. There you go again. How do you narrow it down? Well, last summer when you asked about desserts and what our favorite was, and my response was creme brulee, simply because I'd ordered it 5 different times during our trip.
Yes.
So I could pick that. But, oh, my goodness, there's so many good things to eat that...
Yeah.
How do you choose? For a quicker, on-the-go meal, jump into a place that sells the moules frites. Love them.
Yes. Yes, those are very good.
If we're not wanting to do something very fancy, I'm always up for a magret de canard.
Yeah.
I love my cassoulet.
Yeah.
You're in the right region,
Yes. I hear you.
And if you're in Nîmes, brandade de morue.
Oh, la brandade. That is so good. I've never had a bad one. Brandade de morue is, it's like mashed potatoes with fish in it, right?
Yes. It doesn't sound appetizing when you describe it that way, but
it's so good. It's so good. And you can buy it anywhere in France. That's one of those dishes that you can buy anywhere. It's so popular that if you go to a supermarket, you can buy it and just warm it up in your microwave. Do you ever stay at rent apartments or things like that in France, or you haven't done that very much?
I haven't had to because I've had a place to stay.
Yeah.
But that will be an adventure for us. We'll be looking to rent a house in the near future. So.
Oh, very good.
That will be a new adventure.
Very good. Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for coming on the show. You have a lot of interesting experiences. That's wonderful.
We do. Yeah, we're looking forward to the next ones.
And tell your son to stay away from the protests.
Oh, yeah. He'll be good.
He knows.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, Claire.
Well, thank you, Annie. It was fun.
Au revoir, and have a wonderful next trip to France. You coming this summer?
October.
All right. October is wonderful. It's going to be good because the spring has been late in coming. So I bet the October, even into November, the weather's going to be nice.
Oh, good.
That's my bet. All right.
I'll count on it.
Au revoir, and thank you again.
Au revoir.
All right. Bye.
Hi, my name is Michelle Pickard, and I live in Texas, and I'm coming to France in the fall, to Dordogne in the Loire Valley. And I love your podcast and really appreciate all the great information. I just finished listening to the one about wine that Elise primarily talked about and loved it. It made me very thirsty, so I had to go get some wine. My question is, I am unsure from looking online where I can find wine tours that I can sign up for. I see sort of these trip packages where people will book your hotels and take you to various chateaus, and they're quite pricey. And I'm just looking for 2 or 3 day tours in the Loire Valley that my friend and I can join. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much for the question, Michelle. Okay, let me give you a little bit of background on how to find wine tours in France. The thing you mentioned in your question is that there are a lot of very fancy chateaus that offer all comprehensive stays where you stay in their beautiful facilities and you have gourmet meals and you will visit their vineyards and it will cost you thousands. That's wonderful for the people who have the time and the money, but maybe you don't. So another possibility is to do day trips, and those are usually procured through the tourist office of the area where you would like to do those wine tours. And for you, that would be Angers and Tours, and they will offer specific wine tours that will last a few hours in a day. And I will put some links to that in the show notes. So joinusinfrance.com/115. If you have a car, you can also just drive yourself around. And in the Loire Valley, there's a wonderful website that lists a lot of what they call tourist what do they call them, Monsieur? Again? Oh, tourist cellars, which is kind of an unfortunate translation. But what they mean is those are wineries that are open to visitors. And those are ones where they're probably open, hours where they're open to visitors and you can just go. Some of them will charge you a little bit of money, but most won't even do that. They just hope that you will buy some wine when you're there. But to do those, you have to drive yourself around. And I'm not sure that's the situation for you right now. So thank you very much for the question. I hope the answer has been helpful. And if everybody else listening has a question on something to do with your upcoming trip to France, go to the website and joinusinfrance.com. On the right-hand side, you will see a thing that says send us a voicemail. Click on that, or you can even do it from your phone. There's a link on your phone on your app that's playing the podcast right now, where you can just click on that and send me a question that way. Many thanks to listeners who donate to the show or use our Amazon or hotel booking links on joinusinfrance.com or on the show notes that appear on the podcasting app on your phone. Most new listeners find the show through a recommendation from a friend. If you're the kind of fan who drops our name here and there, bless you and thank you for your help. I hope you have a great time in France, and when you come back, consider sharing your experience and thoughts with other listeners. Drop me a line, Annie@joinusinfrance.com, if you'd like to do a trip report with me. Thank you. Au revoir. This episode is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Non-Derivatives International License.